Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's session on RefWorks. My name is Tobile Mteto. I'm the Acting Librarian for Scholarly Communication and Postgraduate Support. Today, I will be taking you through RefWorks as a reference management tool. So to begin, I will first tackle what is RefWorks. RefWorks is an online reference management tool. It helps you collect and organize sources. It allows you to annotate PDF, insert citations into documents, and automatically generate references. The key features of RefWorks is that it allows you to store references, generate citations, collaborate with others, and it's accessible anywhere online. So to access RefWorks, you need to go to your Rhodes Library webpage, and then you need to sign in or register using your Rhodes credentials, and then you will be set up with a personal library for RefWorks. So this slide provides a comparison between the three reference management tools we have tackled using Zotero and Mendeley, with the key differences between the three being that with Zotero, it's user-friendly. With Mendeley is easy but more complex, and RefWorks is simple, especially for beginners. The other key difference is that with Zotero and RefWorks, it has both Word and Google Docs integration, whereas Mendeley only has a Word plugin. Important to note is that with Zotero and Mendeley, it's accessible offline, whereas RefWorks, it's cloud-based, meaning it's available online. So depending on your research needs, you can choose the reference manager that is most applicable to you. If you maybe, for example, if you want to use Zotero, it's best for students and researchers wanting flexibility, with Mendeley being best for researchers collaborating in teams, and with RefWorks being institutional based and suitable also for people working in teams. So as you can see, RefWorks is institutional based, so it depends on the institution in terms of storage, whereas the other two are free. So to utilize RefWorks as a reference management tools, you need to register for a web library profile. You need to add the reference citation manager through Microsoft Word plugin. You need to add the reference citation manager for Google Docs, as well as the RefWorks website extension. Okay, everyone, now I will head over to the live demonstration where I will take you through how to set up RefWorks and use RefWorks effectively. Okay, the first thing I will do is go to the Rhodes Library webpage. Once I'm on the Rhodes Library webpage, I'm going to scroll down to access my subject guide. When I access my subject guide, I will search until I find RefWorks subject guide. I will select Getting Started, and then I will select Login Screen or Create an Account. Okay, once you get to this screen, you can use your Rhodes email and password to log into RefWorks, or you can simply create an account. Because I've already have a profile with RefWorks, I'm just going to log in with my Rhodes email. Once you logged in with your Rhodes email, then you will be able to access the RefWorks interface. When you access the RefWorks interface, I just want to quickly take you through the interface. You have projects here. This icon allows you to create different projects. For example, today I will navigate to manage projects, and then I'm just going to quickly give this project a name. I'm going to create a new project, and I'm going to call it RefWorks Training. Then I'm going to save that. Okay, once I've saved the new project, it will appear in my list of projects. Then I will navigate back to my RefWorks interface. Then when I come back here, I click here, I will find a list of projects that are part of my profile. We recently created RefWorks training project. Today, I will be working from the RefWorks training project. All right, as soon as you've selected the project that you want to work in, then you will be able to work through your RefWorks interface. So all references show you all references that are part of your project. Search databases allows you to search different databases that are part of RefWorks. Last important shows you recent items that you recently added to your RefWorks profile. Duplicates allow you to find duplicate items that are added to your profile. Sharing allows you to share your project or a folder with a group of people. Maybe you are working together for a group project. You can create a shared folder. You can give your folder a name. Here you can select if you only want the folder to be visible for invited people and accessible to them or anyone in the organization. So I'm just going to say for invited people, then you're going to select done. And then everyone that you add to that project will be able to access the folder. Okay, we also have folders at your institution. You can view folders that are here as part of your institution. And if one is of interest to you, you can join that folder. My folders allows you to create a collection depending on what you're currently working on, be it you're writing up your proposal, your thesis, or you are in the different stages of your research. So what you can do, you can add a folder, maybe you can call it masters, and then you would just add that folder. Once you've created a folder called masters, within that folder, you can create a subfolder so you can organize your work into your references into the different components of your master's dissertation, for example, or thesis. For example, you can say introduction, can add that subfolder. You can also create many subfolders within your folders. You can create your other folder, can be literature review. And when you add references to your Zotero reference manager, then you would be able to organize or categorize your references based on your preferred subfolder. We also have tags. Tags act as keywords. For example, the nice part about tags, if you're working on a reference, what it allows you is that it allows you to create or add keywords to a reference so that you can group similar references with keywords or by theme. The trash folder will allow you to view recently deleted items from your icon, from your profile rather. Okay, colleagues, I'm going to navigate back to folders here. Sorry. I'm going to navigate to all folders, masters. So now that I've taken you through the RefWorks interface, you can add references under the correct or your preferred folder or subfolder. I'm just going to expand my folders masters. But before I show you how to add references, I just want to take you through this tab icon. So we have add here. The add navigation pane allows you to add references. So there are different ways of adding references. You can add references manually through populating your fields. And then you can also use a DOI, an ISBN, or you can add it directly from a database. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take you through how to add references. But before we go to adding references here, I will like to come to the navigation pane under your name, tools. With tools, what tools allows you to do is that it enables you to install extensions and add-ons. For example, if you want to, let's say you in a website and you want to save references from your website. So what you need to do is you need to install Save to RefWorks from your web browser. I'm just going to take you through how to do that. So if you select Install Save to RefWorks, this pop-up icon comes up. What you need to do is that you need to drag this to your navigation pane at the top. As you can see, mine is already added to my navigation pane. This will enable you that when you work from a website to add references. So it serves as a web importer for RefWorks. Okay, I'm just going to quickly close that. At the bottom here, because with Word it doesn't have, with RefWorks, it doesn't have an application. So what you need to do is that you need to install the Reference Citation Manager to your Word, to your Microsoft Word. Then you can select Install for Microsoft Word. I've already installed mine. So once you've installed the RCM, it will appear under your Microsoft document here under RCM as RefWorks Citation Manager. Okay, we also have for Google Docs integration. So if you want to work online through your Google Docs, you can get the add-on for Google Docs. You can select Get Add-on. Once you've selected the Get Add-on, I've already installed mine. I can just quickly show you how to install. Okay, so after you've clicked the Get RefWorks Citation Manager add-on for Google Docs, you will install. You select Continue. And then you will follow all the steps that are required for you to access the Google Docs Citation Manager. You can enable all these checkboxes, or you can just select your preferred one. I'm just going to enable all of them, and then I'm going to select Continue. Once I've installed it, I should get this pop-up message that says that RefWorks extension is now accessible on my Google Docs as an add-on. Then I will select Done. To check if this RefWorks Citation Manager for Google Docs is installed, I can quickly go to my Google Docs, and then I'm just going to say New Google Docs. I'm just going to open a new document. And then to check if it's part of Google Docs, you come to Extensions. When you come to Extension, you come to Get Add-ons. Then you can search RefWorks Citation Manager. Then it will tell you that it's installed. So now you know you can use RefWorks as part of your Google Docs if you prefer working on Google Docs instead of Microsoft Word. Later on, I will show you how to add references from the Google Docs folder. But for now, we will navigate back to our RefWorks profile. Okay, colleagues. Now I'm going to go back to my folders. Okay, once I'm back on the RefWorks interface, the next thing that we will go through is how to add RefWorks to our profile. So you need to select where you want to add your references to. I want to add my references to my master's folder, and I want to currently work on my literature review subfolder. Then to add references, earlier on I touched on there are different ways to add references. I'm just going to quickly take you through the different ways. To add references to your RefWorks profile, you select Add. You can either choose to upload a document. So if you have downloaded documents on your folder that you have saved, either on your external drive or on your device, you can select Upload Document. Then you will select the folder in which you saved your document. Then you will upload your reference. I'm just waiting for it to finish loading. Okay, once it's done loading, it will appear here. If you click on it on the right, you should be able to see more information about this reference. Important to go through this briefly so that you check if the metadata picked up and all the fields populated correctly. Important to note, because we uploaded the document, or if a document is an open source, it immediately attaches itself to our reference manager. So if you want to work on this specific document, what you will do is that you will click on the attachment. Just waiting for the document to load. Once you click on the attachment, it opens up on your RefWorks reference manager. So here you are able to work on the document. You can annotate, meaning you can highlight, you can make comments, you can make notes. So you can make notes here. Maybe you're reading and you want to put the page number and summarize as you're reading on the reference manager itself. You can also add text. So you can just navigate through this. You can also search within the document. All right, colleagues, I'm just going to close this and navigate back to my RefWorks reference manager. So we've tackled how to add references through uploading a document. The other way in which you can add a reference to Zotero is when you create a reference manually. So when you create a reference manually, there are different ways to do it. You can either add your ISBN, which I use mostly for books, your DOI for journal articles, as well as you can populate these fields manually if you have the information for the document, where you type out information for the reference through populating the fields yourself. So the first thing that we're going to tackle is adding references using a DOI. So a digital object identifier, a DOI, is found for journal items or resources that are available online. So for example, let's say, I'm just going to navigate to this document. I have a DOI for this book. To access this reference, you'd have to go through our Rhodes Library webpage, databases A to Z. Let's say this is the journal article that I have, right? So I'm going to copy the link address and I can paste it directly into RefWorks. So I'm going to paste it here under DOI. And then you need to select find and complete reference using a DOI. So it says no results. So that's the thing with RefWorks. When you paste it as a link, it doesn't pick up. So I will just remove the first part of it, and then I'm going to try and add it at just the numbers. Okay, let's do this. Cancel. I'm going to cancel this. And then I'm going to try that one more time. Create manually. And now I will paste my DOI. I'm not going to paste it as a URL. I'm just going to paste it as a DOI. Find reference. So when it picks up the find reference here, you'll be able to see what RefWorks has picked up with about the reference at the bottom. Then you need to select apply changes. Once you select apply changes, RefWorks pulls out the metadata about the articles. So you would see it has included information about the title, the authors, the abstract. You can add file if you have an attachment saved. You can add your tags if you have keywords, and then all the other fields. It also has provided you with pages. Okay, once all the information you are happy with the way the metadata has picked up, you say select save. And your reference should appear under your literature review folder here with all the information. Again, now I'm gonna show you the third way in which you can add references to RefWorks. Let's say, for example, you have a physical book from the library. When you come to reference type, we're no longer working with a journal article. Because we're working with a book, we're gonna type book or search for it. And then once we've searched for the reference type book, we're gonna scroll down. If you have, for example, I'm just gonna scroll to my training materials. Let's say this is the book that you currently have. It's a physical book from the library. And then you need to page through the book. Once you've paged through the book, you need to look for an ISBN number. I've already typed out my ISBN number here. Just want to quickly copy the ISBN number. And then I'm going to paste it here on my RefWorks. Then I'm going to find reference using an ISBN. So it does the same thing as a DOI. It picks up the metadata about the book. I'm going to select apply changes. The minute I select apply changes, it picks up the metadata and it populates the fields for me. If you can add your tags, your keywords here, and then you can check if the metadata was picked up correctly. If it's missing information on where the book was published, you can add it here. You can also add information about the publisher there. It will allow you to type out the information. Once you've, it's not an electronic source, we're gonna deselect that and we're gonna save. Now I have my reference here. Okay, next up, I will show you how to add references from a database. Okay, I'm gonna navigate back to the Rhodes Library webpage. Once I'm on the Rhodes Library webpage, I will look for databases A to Z. Let's say I want to search within the database or platform Web of Science. I'm going to select W and then my database Web of Science. Then I'm going to select Access Database. You might be required to follow the prompts for single sign-on if you're not already logged in. Okay, then I can search for something on, let's say, digital literacy. Okay, when I get here, I will scroll through or look through the references that I want. Then I come to export. There's two ways to go about it. You can select the references that you want, or you can just come straight to export. Because we want the we want to export the referencing metadata for RefWorks, we will select RefWorks. If it was other tools like Mendeley and Zotero, we will say select the other reference software. But because we have one for RefWorks, we will select for RefWorks. And then here, it pulls out this pop-up, and then it will say all records on a page. I don't want all records on a page because my search results, I have a big search results. So I have specific references or records that I want to extract from this database. I can select here number 1 to 5. It will select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or I can select everything on the page. So because I want references 1 to 5, I'm going to keep it references or records 1 to 5. And then here, it first allows you to refine the information that you need for the record content. Maybe you just want the author, the title, the source, or you want the author, the title, the source, and the abstract, or you want the full record. The full record would allow you to also access the PDF if it's an open source. And then I can export this. The minute I select export, it takes me to my RefWorks profile. And here in my RefWorks profile, I'm allowed to choose which project I want to add these references to. I'm still working with the RefWorks training project. And then now I can select, if I had other folders, it will give me a whole list of folders. Or if I don't want to work in the visible folder, I can create a new folder. But I want to work on my master's folder and for my subfolder, which is a literature review, right? And then I will import into my RefWorks. Then to view my recent references, I can go to last imported. And then it will show you my most recent references that I pulled or extracted into my RefWorks Reference Manager. Okay, and then to see if these references are organized under the correct folder, you would come to your master's folder here. You will expand. You see there's 0 for introductions because I haven't uploaded anything. Then you will come to under literature review, and then you should see a list of references that you've added. Okay, colleagues, next up, I will show you how to add references from Google Scholar. I will navigate back to our Rhodes Library webpage. Once you're on the Rhodes Library webpage, I'm going to look for Access Google Scholar. Then I'm going to type for something maybe on the topic Research Data Management. Then I should receive a list of references. When I get here, I will be able to see which references that I want to add, right, to my RefWorks. And then I will read through. If I see one that I like, what you need to do, remember earlier on, we added the RefWorks web importer. This one, which says Save to RefWorks. What you need to do is that you need to click on it. The minute you click on it, what it will do is it will pick up all the references on that page. You see, this is the list of references on this page. You will select the one that you want or the one that you want to add that is applicable to your research interest. For example, maybe it's this one on research data management in academic institutions as scoping review, which is this one, then you can add that one. Or if you also want this one, research data management, a conceptual framework, then you can select that one. Or you can simply select all if you want to add all these references to your RefWorks. reference manager. Then I will save to RefWorks. The minute I click save to RefWorks, it pulls out my folders and it asks me which project I want to add this to. I'm still working on the RefWorks training project, and then I'm still on my master's folder, still working or still doing busy with my literature review, and then I will import to that subfolder. Then if you want, you can view in RefWorks, you can view the recent references that you added to your RefWorks and they will appear here. Then just if you want to double check if the metadata picked up correctly, you click on the reference and then you can scroll down. But you can see that there's limited information with regards to the reference. Can you see we aren't able to see who's the author? There's just the title. Then you can edit. When you select edit, then you can now go and populate the fields manually. Okay, I'm going to revert back to Google Scholar. My search, which was research data management. Okay, so now, oh, sorry, it changed to scientific data management. Okay, so now what I will do, I'll show you the other way in which you can add references to your RefWorks. There's something called Cite. If you click on Cite, there's different ways in which you can extract information from Google Scholar into your RefWorks. There's through BibTeX, EndNote, Ref Management, and RefWorks. Because we're working with the Reference Manager RefWorks today, we will select RefWorks. All right, what it does is it picks up the information. We're still working on this project, Masters, Literature Review, and then we're gonna import to that folder. Then I can go to Lost Imported. And then when I click on this reference, you can see that in comparison to Save to RefWorks, it managed to populate most fields for you. If you feel like the reference is still incomplete, you can edit, maybe you can add the abstract and you can add any missing information. But as it stands, it seems that when we use Cite on Google Scholar, it was able to pick up more metadata in comparison to using Save to RefWorks. Okay, colleagues, now that I've shown you the different ways to add references to your RefWorks Reference Manager, you are now done with what you call it, with adding references, with organizing your references into your Reference Manager. Now you are working on your Word document. Okay. I'm going to open Word. Going to open a new document. Earlier on, we installed the RefWorks Citation Manager. And after we've installed it, it will appear on your Microsoft Word document under RCM. Right? So once you get to your Word document, you select RCM, then you select RefWorks Citation Manager. When you select RefWorks Citation Manager, you will be asked to log in. I'm already logged in, so it pulls out my record, but I'm going to quickly show you what happens. So in the event that you select RCM, RefWorks Citation Manager, it pulls out this pop-up. When it pulls out this pop-up, you will be required to log in with your institutional email and your password. Sorry. Then once I log in with my credentials, it will pull out my profile, my RefWorks profile. So once it pulls out the RefWorks Citation Manager, you have my references, which shows you all references in your folder or your profile. Then here, you can further refine this to include references specifically from your literature review to make it easier when you're working on the document. You also can sort or make your life easier when you want to find references easily. You can sort them, date modified, date published, and so forth. You also have my citations here, which allows you to view your own citations. When you scroll here to the top navigation pane with a menu, if you click there, you're able to choose your citation style. You can change your citation style anytime to your preferred one. You can select APA, you can type it out, and then you can choose the version. Maybe you're using the 7th edition. With no case changes, no title, that version. If you're using that version, you will select that version, and then you will say update. And then your citation style will update to your preferred referencing style. We also have under the menu something called, you can change your project here. You also have citation formatting. This is to reduce processing time. So you can turn it off because let's say when you're adding a reference, if it's on, it takes time for the reference to pick up. So I'm just going to quickly turn that off. And then here, bibliography, it's currently off. So if I want RefWorks, every time I in-text reference using RefWorks, if I want the reference or the bibliography to automatically populate itself, I can enable that. Okay, now we will close. And then let's say now you're working on your RefWorks document. You were busy typing RefWorks training. RefWorks training. Now you wanna reference. We've already chosen our referencing style. And now you want maybe this author is the one that spoke about RefWorks training. And then you see here it says missing author, missing date. So we need to go back to our RefWorks and ensure that we add all the missing information. So, and then maybe this author also spoke about RefWorks training. Then you will select insert citation, then it will in-text reference for you. But as you can see here, it's putting these brackets. You can delete citation and you can edit the references. For example, I can just quickly show you another way. For example, if maybe this author spoke about RefWorks training, I will select that author and then I will insert citation. So you can include the page number. So our referencing style, it will pick up our preferred referencing style. In the event that you want to include multiple authors, it will separate it by a semicolon. Let's say, for example, I want to change my referencing to Chicago 16th edition. It can update for me. And then when I reference, it will be able to change that referencing style. For example, if I want to include this citation by this author or scholar, then it will insert the citation with the page number. All right, colleagues, and then to add your bibliography, sorry about that. To add your bibliography, you will come down here, then you will say bibliography, you will enable it, and then it will populate the references for you. So for all your in-text references, it can populate it automatically for you. Important to note is that when you're working on a document, for every reference that you use on your document, you have to in-text reference it using your RefWorks or Reference Manager, Citation Manager. Otherwise, you risk having an incomplete reference list. So very important. Sorry, I'm just updating my citation there. Very important to note is that every reference that you include in your in-text, it has to be through the RefWorks Citation Manager. Otherwise, you will have an incomplete reference list. So, for example, there are some people that in the event that I'm not sure why it's using curly brackets here. It's supposed to be round. Maybe it's the reference style, but you can edit it. Yeah, maybe it's the reference style. I'm just going to leave it as is. And then in the event that maybe you are using or your department requires you to footnote, what you can do is you can just say, for example, RefWorks, and then you will come to, I just need to quickly to find. Yes, you will navigate to references. Once you navigate to references on your Word document, you will place your cursor where you wanna footnote. Then you will select Insert Footnote. Then you will come here under your list of references. Then you will select this author on knowledge management. You will footnote that author, and then you will insert citation. So it footnotes the citation for you. And it puts the number. So you know, number one, the author is that author. Okay. So colleagues, now that you know how to in-text reference, now that you know how to in-text reference using RefWorks, we will now head over to I will now take you through how to reference in Google Docs. The steps are the same if you want to reference. What I did here on my Microsoft Word document is the same thing that you would do under your Google Docs document. So I'm just going to quickly navigate to Google Docs. Earlier on, I opened an untitled document. So to access RefWorks under Google Docs, after you've added RefWorks add-on for Google Docs, we added it on earlier under Get Add-ons. You now see it on your navigation pane here. You will click on RefWorks Citation Manager. In the event that it doesn't appear here, you have to go to, after you've installed it, you have to go to Get Add-ons and then search for it. Because it already appears, I will come to RefWorks Citation Manager, Manage Citations. And then for me, I'm already logged in. I can just quickly show you what happens if you're not logged in. So this will pop up, and then you will be asked to log in using your roles credentials. And then it will pull out information on your profile. You can select all references, or you can select references from your preferred folder, right? And then what you would do is, if you want a reference, this is your documents you've been working, you want to in-text reference, you can change your referencing style to your preferred one. You can use Chicago. If it doesn't appear, you can search for it. Maybe I want this different version of Chicago, referencing this 14 until 16 and 17. So I just want the 16th edition for Chicago or the date style. Then I will apply the referencing style of my choice. All right, once I've added the referencing style of my choice, I will now go on to in-text referencing. To in-text reference, you can scroll down, then you can search to that author, then you can insert citation. Okay. And it has added my citation. So you can see here it's picking pages 139 to 155, but you can edit that to the page number that you've used. If it's 140, then you will leave it at 140. If they require you to put the page 140 like that, then you can add that information. Unfortunately, the reference management tools do not automatically add specific page numbers for you. You'd have to go and edit. And then if you want to populate a reference list, maybe you can add more citations. Just going to put a full stop. You can add more citations. Maybe this author also said something. Then you can in-text reference them. Like that, and then you can edit the page number. Then maybe if it's multiple authors who said maybe the same thing, it allows you to add multiple authors. Maybe this author spoke about knowledge management. You also want to add this author on patterns of scholarly communication. Then you insert citations. Then it will separate the two authors by a semicolon, and then you can edit here the page number if you are required to add the page number. If not, you can just quickly remove that. Yeah. Okay, and then also if you want a footnote on Google Docs, you also can footnote information. For example, training, if I want to write the word training, I'm going to go to format. I'm going to go to insert rather, page element, footnote. And then I can choose the reference that I want to footnote. Maybe this author, and then I'm going to insert citation. And then it will insert the citation for me. Yeah, one, which is on training. So you can footnote multiple authors, maybe training document, maybe you also want to footnote another author, same procedure, page element, footnote, then maybe this, let's see which author. Maybe this author spoke about that, and then you can in-text reference. So very important to ensure that when you add the metadata, you ensure that it's consistent across your document so that it picks up correctly. And then number 2 will be by that author. Okay, colleagues, I think we have come to the end of today's training session on RefWorks. Should you have further questions on how to use RefWorks as a reference manager, I'm available for questions. I'm also available for one-to-one consultations. If you have further questions or you have some things that were unclear from today's session, I will just quickly share my details, and then you should be able to email me or set up a one-to-one consultation. I will now take questions. Okay, I need to access the navigation pane. Please bear with me. Okay, there it is. Then I will just, you can unmute yourself or you can write on the chat. Let me just quickly check. Okay, Nosbulelo is like, this one is easy for me. I'm glad you're finding this one much easier to use. Okay, I'm just going to quickly close the chat. I'm just going to wait until past for any questions that you may have post the RefWorks training session. Meantime, while I wait for you to think of any questions that you might have, may I please ask you to kindly fill in our diagnostic survey? I'm just going to quickly access the QR code. So you can scan the QR code. I'll just paste the link here for our summative assessment. So this is to get a sense of, after the RefWorks, pardon me, the RefWorks training session, do you have a better understanding of how to use RefWorks as a reference management tool? You can simply scan the QR code or click on the link on the chat for the summative survey or assessment. I will share the slides from all the training sessions for reference managers with everyone shortly. Right, everyone, thank you so much for attending today's session on RefWorks as a reference manager. We have come to the end of our training sessions on the different reference managers. So now you have a bit of an understanding on which one is most easier or suitable to use based on your preference. Please join us tomorrow when we go through systematic scoping and literature reviews, which will be facilitated by my colleague, Ms. Menze. You can join that session. We also have other sessions running next week. Thank you so much for attending. We will share the recording with you once it's up and uploaded on our YouTube channel, as well as the slides. Have a lovely afternoon further. Thank you for attending.